deliverable descriptions and acceptance criteria, so that project managers, so the audience is very much project managers, so that they can pick up a list of deliverables and understand what tests need to be performed to confirm that those deliverables are completed. Now, project managers tend to ask for that sort of information for one reason, so that they know when the work is finished. That's the whole point. If you know what tests need to be performed, then you know when you're finished. If you don't know what those tests are, then you can't tell. There is no way a project manager can tell whether or not a deliverable has been finished or not. And the other thing that Daniel's been working on for me is product flow diagrams. So the product flow diagrams is really a sequence, the sequence in which the work products are delivered to install a particular offering. And today we're going to have a look at those things. So Stephen, I think I said before that much of what Daniel is going to show you today or share with us today, much of that you have done already anyway with the work the great work you did with SharePoint. This is really to close the loop, and so that you understand what we've been trying to produce in the project management space, and so that we can kind of bring together the stuff that you've produced for blueprinting. We can mesh that with, have a single approach for both blueprinting, the artifacts we produce for blueprinting, and the artifacts that we produce as project managers. And, you know, there might be a bit of movement either way, where we might decide that what you've done is better and we'll use that sort of thing. But we need to show you what we've done first so you understand what we've been trying to do. So we've talked about Stephen, we've introduced Stephen, we've introduced Daniel Anthony. I've got great pleasure in introducing Victor and Chin Cheng, who are the exchange resources or specialists, exchange specialists in the KL pod. So Victor and Chin Cheng, we are very pleased to have you on deck because we were short of the gentleman who had been working on this, the automation of exchange installation using agility, and also on the documentation to produce that product flow. That gentleman is called, his name is Russell Sparks, and he's an architect. And because we have a number of transition projects in play at the moment, Russell is heavily overcommitted with other projects. So this work, which is very important, because the reason this work is important is because it reduces the cost of future implementations and it improves the profit of our My Work Style offering. And it means that our offering becomes profitable, whereas if we used traditional methods of installation, the transition costs would be high, and maybe the model wouldn't work. You know, it's quite possible that the My Work Style model would not be profitable. So this is really, really important work, which I want to impress upon everyone. So I just wanted, before we launch into, I've asked Daniel to send a number of things, the product flow diagram for Exchange, the deliverables description and acceptance criteria for Exchange, and a one-page network diagram. So the idea of this meeting was so that everyone could see those artifacts. And the idea is that Daniel would continue to work on completing the product flow diagram and the deliverables descriptions and acceptance criteria, and also the one-page network diagram. And Stephen would work with whoever is assigned from out of Victor and Chin Cheng, whoever is assigned on the automation work with using agility. Now, I guess, may I just ask a question? Victor, how much time do you have to spend on this work that I'm going to ask you to do?
You mean the installation part, or is this about the scripting?
Well, there's two parts. One is the provision of some documentation, and the other is the scripting and the use of agility to automate the installs. So don't worry about those elements just yet. I'm more interested to know, are you available to us 1 day a week, or 2 days a week, or 3 days a week, and or more? You know, how many days a week do you think you can give to this work?
Actually, I'm fine for any days actually. As long as meet the never crash in other meetings, that's fine for me. I do anything. So
Fantastic. Essentially we've got you full time aside from other meetings.
yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. That's a gift from God. Don't tell anyone you said that, Victor, because I don't want anyone to grab you.
No, exactly.
That's good. All right, that's music to my ears, isn't it, Stephen?
Yes. So don't tell anyone, like Chris said, you're not free anymore. I guess
No, that's right.
So
if anyone asks, you just tell them you're you're fully occupied. Okay. Okay. So Chin Xiang, can you please tell us what is your availability? Are you also available full time? I think you're on mute, Chin Xiang.
Oh, sorry, yeah, maybe 25 to 50% a week.
Fantastic. That's really great. All right. So that's really good, and it's a relief because I was stuck for resources to do this work, and I know. So Daniel has just invited us to a group meeting. I think let's keep our voice conversation on the phone line that we're using. But I think Daniel, why don't you share your screen and can you show the product flow diagram for Exchange install? So I think if you can share that and take us through that, that would be good exercise to do. Daniel, did you send these documents to everyone now?
Yes, Chris, I sent to everyone.
Okay. Your voice is very quiet, Daniel. You're a long way away. Maybe if your microphone is too far from your voice.
Is it fine, Chris?
That's better.
Okay, so yeah. So I have sent the invite, screen sharing invite. Hope you might have received.
Okay, I'll accept that. Did everyone else receive it?
I can see your screen now, Daniel.
Okay.
It's weird. I'm not seeing. It's just coming up now for me as well. I can see your screen now too. It's great.
Okay. Victor and Ching Chang.
Yeah, I'm fine. I can view it.
Okay. Fine. So this is the first page. My work style enterprise mail product flow diagram.
Okay.
So this is yeah. Go ahead, Chris, if you want.
Yeah. Sorry, Anthony. I just got one quick.
Yes.
I'll get out of your hair in just a second. Is this for standard or premium offering? Do you know?
Yeah. Let's see. It's a standard, Chris, I believe.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right. Fantastic. Cool. So, yeah, I think take us through from page 1, and just walk us through each of the boxes. So I think Stephen, you're going to find that much of this is going to be similar to your sequence of boxes that you had in your option. anyway, I'll let Daniel. Daniel, if you can just walk us through. Actually, just before you do that, I'll just explain that the idea is each box, it's just a box and arrow. The idea is that each box is a work product or an outcome. At each box, we actually deliver something, and that's either an outcome or as part of the installation, or it's either a work product. And it's as simple as that. So that's the intention of these diagrams. So Daniel, back to you. Sorry.
Yeah, Chris. Okay, so totally we have divided these activities in 4 parts. First is collecting requirements. So you can see that in the first yellow box, which we will discuss with our architect and team, and we'll come out with the base requirement. And based on that, we will come out with the LTM in the design part. So this will be produced by our architects, and followed by that, we'll go with PTM. And then based on these 2 documents, we'll come out with bill of material, and based on that, we'll request security review audit as well for the PTM and LTM. So once we come out with bill of material, we'll go for procurement, and then the build process starts, where the technical team plays their role. So we will raise the required GCAS and start building the servers. So this is a general product flow diagram for the project manager point of view. So this is how the project will go. And followed by that...
No, just before you move to the next slide, Victor and Chin Xiang are new to CSC. So I just want to explain that some of the acronyms here. LTM means a logical technical model. PTM means a physical technical model. So the logical model is a high-level logical view, logical design, and the PTM is a technical design. And I'm just thinking, we'll leave both in here, Daniel, but in practice we might jump straight to a technical design for implementations, because the logical design will be, the logical design may not change actually to the next, but that's more an observation. I'll just explain that the BOM is a bill of materials, so it's it's all the things that we would need to order and procure for the exchange and implementation. And that might mean just ordering the right licenses. And the SRA is a security risk assessment. So that needs to be done for each offering. Okay, sorry Daniel, back to you.
Yes, Chris, thank you. So and the rest in the build process, you will be following the GCAR process. So probably you might, by this time you might have familiar on this, Victor. So GCAR or change management record. So that's what we used to do to build the servers. So moving to next one, the technical view, how we are going to work out. Is it visible to you all now? Are you able to read out?
Yeah, we can.
I'm okay, Daniel.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that's good. So this is for Exchange Server. Steve Downs, he worked out with the architect and he came out of this.
Yeah, so Daniel, do talk through each box and what's delivered in each box, just at a high, it doesn't hurt to walk through each one. In particular, the prerequisite box, maybe just explain what that's about and then talk through each other box.
Okay. So to start the build, you in the left-hand side, you can see one light green color box. So that's a prerequisites we talked about. So what do we require to start the server build? So that's the requirements. As we are running on the shared environment, we would require some of the access and the prerequisites. So that's what our friends are listed it out. So here first we need the Active Directory access and DNS and the certificates. Few certificates we need to gain, and agility. If we are going with, we need to get the agility certificate as well. And these are the NetScaler and internal external NetScaler access points or ports needs to be opened to the following by Cisco and Office 365 tenant. So these are the access we need to have it in place before that. So this is for especially for the build engineers, those who are going to continue with the building. So Victor and Ching Chang. So this is a prerequisite we are expecting. We are at present we have in the list. Probably it will be get added as and when required or removed. So this is
so I think
idea.
No, that's good. Thank you, Daniel. So I think that the important message of the prerequisites is that many of those prerequisites should be available in the My Work Style environment. So Victor and Chin Cheng, have you had any training on what are the elements of the My Work Style environment? Things like the management stack and the resource stack terms?
Yeah, I'm clear on this. One question is prerequisition could be need to enhance about the port number for the element in prerequisites, because mistaken, some port number is blocked, so I'm not sure during the deployment maybe the script will not be working fine. So maybe you can concern about
okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to review these product flow diagrams, and you may even add some detail to them. The main objective of the product flow diagram is to identify the key outcomes and which boxes can be automated with agility and which boxes can't be automated. So you'll actually get a chance to work with Daniel offline to go through this and add some detail as you require. So if ports is an important, I think there's Cisco Iron port configuration needs to be in place. So you might add another box which is define the network. Design the network. Although the network design should be done in the PTM. So maybe that is the answer actually, that the PTM should include those port definitions. But let's and there is a configure iron port and the configure the tenant. So we just need to make sure that one of those boxes includes those port definitions and possibly even some firewall rules. There might be a box there for configuring firewall rules. We'll come to that in a second. So I think Daniel, just talk through each of the steps, each of the boxes that we've got there.
Yeah. So actually, in the prerequisites, once we get in, when we get into the environment, we'll come to know what are the access we require actually. So at the time, we probably will be able to add the lines across. They have to get into the environment, then only they'll come to know what are the obstacles they are facing it, probably access related and port related access issues. Okay, so that's good. Let me move to next one. So the first purple box, all required virtual machines provisioned via agility. So these purple boxes are meant saying that this activity can be done through automated agility platform. So we will request for the VM to the agility team, and then they will prepare the VM as per our requirement and give it to us in a day or two. So that's what we'll get. So and followed by that, Exchange application installed via agility. So next box, once they hand over the box, we'll give to Exchange to build the basic Exchange application on the VMs. So that also we are planning to come out with agility platform. So once it will done, it will given to you. Then the yellow box only it will come to your hand, Victor, to configure Exchange a requirement given in the PTM. So that's where the configuration activity takes place. So and then once you done the config and once you are satisfied with your work, and then we can start doing the server test, server side testing, and whatever the testing it needs to be defined, we have to come out with a testing plan, what you want to test or how to ensure the build is complete as per our requirement. And then we'll come out with the next activity is yellow box. It is configure iron port for tenant AT&T. So now we are, once the build is complete, we are coming in, we are bringing the server into the network domain to get connect with the rest of the network. So this is what that yellow field is say, the yellow box is saying. So this activity needs to be done by our network team with your guidance, and then followed by configure EOP. EOP is email. I forgot the OP meaning. Chris, do you remember, Chris?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what it is.
Online protection.
Email online protection. Thank you. So this
actually, we should be asking you guys.
Yeah, Exchange actually.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Chris. I asked wrongly.
Hey, no problem.
That's okay. So yeah, so gentlemen, you got to understand that Daniel. This is the first time that Daniel's seen this diagram. So he's been doing work on mobility. He's been doing the diagram for mobility. So I put him on the spot a little bit to talk through this because he's not had anything to do with Exchange before. So I think there is a bit of clarification needs. So Steve Downs has done a great job and really has set the foundation for everyone else to work from. The clarification we need is why don't we actually I'll just say two things and then we can move to the. If you could please then open the. Actually, can you now open the deliverables box with? Are you able to do the deliverables list with the acceptance criteria, Daniel? Are you able to open that without closing this product?
Yeah. It's there, Chris. Me.
So on deliverables and acceptance criteria. I can see the dots moving across the top of the page.
Yes, Chris.
That's a good sign.
It has to open Word document and then file. So it's taking time. So let it be, sir.
Maybe, yeah, just while that's opening, just minimize the email. And what I want to show you is where there's two orange boxes. One is server-side testing and one is end-to-end testing. So once we've configured Exchange, most of the functions are available in Exchange that we can use. The only two that we can't test are message hygiene services and SMTP encryption. And in order to do that, we need this EOP tenant and I think some kind of connection to the outside world. Is that right? Maybe Victor, can you explain? I think we needed an internet connection or some external network connection to tenant services and SMTP encryption.
Yeah, basically, as long as connected to IM port, the IM port will be flow the email to the external is the provider, so the recipient will be automatically received based on the email for whatever the flow inside their destination. So basically, in IM port side, they need trusted with the port 25. So from Exchange, they can just secure mail to pass to the iron port, and iron port will be flow their mail to the Cisco provider and deliver those the recipient side. So basically, the thing what I found out is because the firewall and the internet is not is not a permit to allow the exchange to flow the mail outside.
Right. And I think, now just bear with me a second, I'll just read you some words from my governance presentation.
And when I know one thing is iron port exactly is who was the person in charge, and is that belong to AT&T or is a cyber security team?
Yeah, I think it's actually Marcel Rake. I think it's Marcel Rake. I'll just tell you now that Marcel Rake
Maybe
of
what I
AT&T.
suggest we can get the more contact about the person in charge for the iron port, so we can negotiate and coordinate with them. So what are the configuration we need to trust and everything.
Yeah, so I've got a comment here in my presentation. It says that we need a link, a network link from Piermont data center to Macquarie Park in order to test message hygiene and SMTP encryption. So I need you to be thinking about what facility we need set up across that network link in order to test those final two features. And that needs to be reflected in that product flow diagram. We need to say, in order to test message hygiene and SMTP encryption, we need a link, an external link from the iron port to, actually what to link to? Just an external email exchange server?
Yeah, it's a
Or what's on the other end?
it's a port or the trusted to grant the particular access to allow the SMTP iron port. They can flow the mail to the iron port and deliver to outsider. That's a
So when you say deliver to an outsider, yeah, where does the mail get sent to? To another exchange server?
the mail
Or
will
to
be
another
to
iron
the
port?
one of the filtering in iron port, because iron port they can automate this destination person, because each of the destination email they have a specific IP and the port to allow them to grant. Then the recipient will be accept based on the port and the recipient IP. You get the meaning?
Yeah, but I kind of do, but what's on the other end of the link? Let's say I want to receive, let's say Chris Brando, I'm at Macquarie Park. There's been an established, and what do I need? What equipment do I need at Macquarie Park to receive the emails from the iron port? Do I need to have an exchange at Macquarie Park to receive the email from the iron port?
Yeah, that's the thing.
server?
I need to know who is the person in charge for iron port, so I can know what is their requirement. So I can
Okay,
give
if
them the permission or
so
the exchange we need to link up.
so the other end. I mean, you've got to have something to receive the mail, don't you? Or can I just be a workstation with a client exchange? Is that how it works? I mean, what server elements need to be at the other end of? What are the options for being at the other end of the link? What can I put at the other end of that external network link? That's what's missing. If I said to you, Victor, the link is in place, please test SMTP encryption. Surely I need something more than just a network link at Macquarie Park.
Yeah, because this iron port is specific for security and gateway to your mail can send or deliver to outsider. And
Yeah, but
it is
when you say deliver to an outsider, yeah, but what do you, when you say deliver to an outsider, specifically, technically, what is the mail delivered to? I'm an outsider, I'm Chris Brando, but I can't receive mail from an iPort. What technical element do I need to receive that email?
Is there something, Victor, like what is it that goes to?
actually it's a gateway. Actually, I can say that, and it's a
Okay. Okay. So it's an exchange gateway.
Yeah, can we say that?
Okay. If you were describing it to another technical exchange engineer, what technical name would you use?
We are using the name called SMTP gateway.
Fantastic. That's the answer. That's all I needed you to say.
Okay, okay.
That's cool. So we need an SMTP gateway at Macquarie Park. Don't try and oversimplify. Just tell me technically the detail. I was just explaining the other day to Daniel that's the clearest way to get a clear explanation is just ask the engineer to tell the right technical term, because that makes it clear for everyone. All right, that's fine. Okay, I'm sorry to labour that point. I understand it was a question that has been bugging me for some months now, which is why I asked it here today. So thank you. We need an SMTP gateway at the end of the link, and we may or may not. We probably already have one, and actually we know that when so Daniel, when Paul Wiley implements that network link, we need to make sure that all the firewall rules to connect to an SMTP gateway at Macquarie Park.
Yes, Chris.
Can you add that to the list for Paul?
Yes, Chris. It's already in my list. I have to request all the architects to provide their offerings firewall requirements.
Champion. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Good on you.
Yeah.
That's perfect. All right. So I think I'll hand back to... okay. So... okay, where I was coming from, the reason I had that discussion was those two yellow boxes that deal with configuring the iron, the EOP tenant, that is all associated with communicating with an external SMTP gateway. And it's when we, and actually, Daniel, you could put of those two yellow boxes is actually linking to an SMTP external gateway, and within that linking to an external SMTP gateway, you can then put test message hygiene services and SMTP encryption. So that was missing. That's missing. We need another box on that diagram that says, link to an external SMTP gateway and test message hygiene services and SMTP encryption. So those tests belong in an extra box that deals with that external SMTP gateway. So I'll ask you to add that to the. If you and the guys can add that to the diagram, that closes out that piece.
Okay. That's what Victor, you mentioned in the bracket, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but it belongs in a box.
Yeah.
Because we need to know. Because here's my other question. So, Victor, do we configure the EOP tenant first before we can link to an SMTP gateway?
Yeah, actually is anyway, actually you can configure based on the iron port first, or you can just configure later also can. As long as during the you need to testing, basically you need to test with also the external side, right? So the configuration we
Yeah.
must pre-request finish first before we do the fully testing actually.
Okay. So you need both. You need the EOP tenant and the iron port. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Fantastic. So we need that. The diagram needs to show that, Daniel. It needs to show both are ready before we can link to the SMTP gateway and test the message hygiene and SMTP encryption. Okay, no need to do that now because that's work in progress once we've done that. So so there's another orange box at the top which is service, and we can do most of the tests after configure exchange. So please show the deliverables and acceptance criteria. Please, Daniel. Okay, so here's the list of service features and the acceptance criteria, which are the tests. And actually, this also shows indicates whether this feature is in standard or premium, and it also shows whether we have actually tested it yet. So you'll see that mailbox and mailbox folders, shared mailbox, calendar, contacts, Outlook and Outlook Anywhere, and Outlook Web Access and mobile client access. Those are all things that are implemented and are in place immediately once we have configured the Exchange servers. And then scroll down a little bit further, Daniel. It shows message hygiene services and SMTP encryption at the bottom. Are there any over the page?
That's all.
Actually, it's got plugin web apps, data loss prevention. Okay, so there's a few things over the page as well. So all of these features, just go back to the previous page, please, Daniel. So what's important from a delivery perspective is all of these features can be completed and tested once we've got the Exchange servers implemented and configured. It's only the message hygiene services and SMTP encryption that rely on the iron port and the EOP tenant. So that's important from a project management perspective because it means that we know that there is an extra piece of work before we can deliver these other two features, but it also means that we can finish everything else even if we don't have an external link to an external SMTP gateway. So it's almost like there are two stages to the project, and and actually that is why the product flow is important, because it shows us the various elements and when we can deliver each one, and what prerequisites are required before we can deliver some of the other features. So I think just go to the top of page 1 of 2, please, Daniel.
Is the one, Chris, or a second one? First one, you're asking.
It doesn't matter, either one. Just stop at the top of it. That's it. Either one, page 1 or 2, doesn't matter. Probably page 1 is better, I think.
Okay.
That's it. Just stop there. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you look at the acceptance criteria, the service feature and acceptance criteria, if I just had shared mailbox, it doesn't tell me what shared mailbox does, and I don't understand what I need to test. But the acceptance criteria tells me that mailboxes can be shared amongst multiple users in support of delegates to send on behalf of another user. So if I implement that acceptance criteria and I show that it's working, I know that shared mailbox is finished, that feature has been implemented and is finished. So that's important for whoever is delivering the offering. And we need to bear in mind that many different we're about to deploy this thing in 4 different countries, and I think the intention is for the KL pod to do the deployments in all 4 countries. But if we get many customers in each country buying this offering, then we're going to need many teams who are able to pick up the documentation and implement using this documentation, so they can be confident that they know what needs to be built for each new client. And there'll be more than one team. We'll have different teams in each of 4 or 5 countries working with their customers. So that's why this documentation is important. Also to the right, we've got the acceptance criteria column and the premium column. So that tells us what features are available in standard and what features are available in premium. And actually, Daniel, let's see if we can find what are the distinguishing features between premium and standard exchange.
Here only, the second page you can see, Chris. Most of them are premium.
Right. So it's all the things on the second page are only in the premium offering. Right, that's good. Okay, so now I've got a question for actually Stephen. So Steve, have you got this sort of table in some format for SharePoint?
Well, what we've got is there's actually more detail than what we've got in the document. So there's I guess the requirements, but there's also the test cases which obviously map back to the requirements. So what we're doing at the moment with Exchange, and I think you might have even been involved because we had some problems connecting with TAN. So we're going through a process right now of automating these, I guess, the functional tests that sit behind these requirements. So
yeah, good.
We're currently running through that process. So there is another level of detail as well. So Victor, if you look at this and you think, well, it might be a bit too high level, there's another supporting document that breaks it down into actual steps of what we expect the end user would do to simulate or for us to be able to deliver on that requirement. So that's been built out across all the product sets. And it is available, obviously, if you guys need to have a look at it. We're working with Satish's test lead in the Exchange space at the moment.
Fantastic.
So we can always put you together with him if you need a bit more detail about what that requirement is, because
no, that's okay. That's fine.
Down into steps. Yeah. But they're out there.
Yeah, so this is more this document here is it's more for the implementation team to make a plan. And then when they come to do data loss prevention, it's important for them to know that there is an automated set of tests that can be run by the testing teams to make sure that data loss prevention is actually, here are the detailed tests that ensure that this feature is tested properly and implemented. So that's good. So there is more detail behind that, and that's great. And
we have broken them down in as per the box, those orange boxes that Daniel was showing. So those things that we refer to as the server-side tests.
Okay.
So they're tests that the engineer would run. For example, after you've installed Exchange, if there's a particular service that you expect would be running, that server-side test would run a script to say, is the service called Exchange, as an example, up and running? So a framework for how we do those server-side tests. And that's really testing that the as-built maps back to those requirements. So, to do data loss protection, if you need a service to be running, you would run that script and That's one check. And then at the bottom right, we've got the end-to-end testing. And that's that functional testing, which sort of stimulates from the end user, logging onto Outlook Web Access, logging in, looking to see is my mailbox there, do I have at least 2 gig in terms of storage space and those sort of tests. We're automating both of those in the, we're automating end-to-end at the moment in Exchange, and Vista will be looking for your help to sort of guide us and also potentially script the server-side tests once we sort of have a chat about what is it that shows you at the end of installing Exchange that Exchange is up and running.
Sounds
so that's
good.
the way we've broken up those 2 orange boxes.
That's great. It's not always that, it's like two teams building a railway line, Steve, and you get to a point and you hope that the railway line joins in the right place, and it doesn't always happen, but I think it's
yeah.
I think it's happening now today, which is great, which is excellent. So yeah, that's another level of detail down, and so the acceptance criteria is more a project management tool so that a new project manager or a new team can pick up, or even an Exchange implement, pick up the delivery criteria, and they can see, oh, I'm implementing standard offering, and that means these and these tests. And it's good that he knows that behind each line item there is an automated suite, appropriate testing. So that's all good, fantastic. So Steve, we're trying to get these tables created for every offering that provides that high-level view. And that should match in with all the work you're doing to automate all the testing that happens behind the scenes. But maybe also this sort of table serves as a checklist for the test teams to make sure that they cover the right testing areas, the right,
to me, it's like the requirements traceability matrix.
That's it.
Yes, if I look at this as a requirement, we need to have at least one test, hopefully more, but at least one test for each requirement so that we feel comfortable it's being implemented.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Yep. That's fantastic. So, just for consistency, so now that you've seen this material, I want to have another meeting with you, Steve, and just come up with a consistent approach for that everything looks the same. So that all these deliverable and acceptance format and that sort of thing. I don't know what you've done with SharePoint, and I'd like to just have a look at what you've done for SharePoint and just make a decision and say, look, moving forward, everything will be done, a product flow will be done like this, a deliverable and acceptance criteria table will be done like this, and it's all one format. How does it sound? Yeah,
I think it's information, but obviously it's obviously going to be slightly formatted or in Excel rather than Word or PowerPoint versus Visio. So it's just a matter of picking the template, the formats, and then just sticking to it.
Indeed. No, that's good. So I think we'll let you and I talk about that offline, and we'll come up with we'll agree on what that format should be. Okay, no, that's good. So, yeah, next item on the list. Let me just check the agenda here. We're almost out of time, but Steve, have you got another meeting after this one?
No.
Okay. Victor and Chin Xiang, do you have another meeting after this one?
No.
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so we don't have... All right, that's great. So we don't have to rush and try and finish this in 5 minutes. I think let me walk you through this network, this one-page network diagram. So before we look at that, Daniel, and before you take us through that, I just want to explain something. So when we had built all the offerings in the resource stack at Piedmont, all of the 7 offerings, the subject matter experts came to me and said, oh, we've got SharePoint or we've got Exchange implemented, but we don't know what the network elements are, and we don't know what needs to be defined for each network element. Now, so to address that, myself and Paul Wiley created this network diagram. It's a one-page network diagram that shows all of the... Now, at the time of implementation, which is about a year ago, I did ask for all of the teams, all of the offering implementers, to update this one-page diagram to show the network flow. But what happened was each of the offering teams created their own diagram, and it showed something almost the same as this, but not quite. There were some details missing. And and the issue is that the network route was explained, but, for example, it didn't explain what needed to be set up in the external DMZ net scaler for a particular offering. It didn't explain what had to be set up or not in the load balancer net scaler, and so on. So it was missing that high-level information about what exactly needs to be done in each device for this particular offering. The other thing it was missing was it didn't actually show what devices were on the data path. Daniel, what was the other thing? So this is the one-page network diagram for Skype.
Yeah.
And the point I made to Karthik was he had his own diagram in the PTM, which presented almost the same information, but not quite. So it didn't have everything that was needed. That was the first thing. And the second thing was it was quite a different format. And so we ended up with 7 different pictures from 7 different offerings, and with some of them had bits of information missing. So even now, I want each offering, including Exchange and SharePoint, to show us the network paths. And and in particular, if you look at the top, I think I'll go through the network diagram now, actually, Daniel. So you may all say that, oh, but Chris, I've got much of this information in my PTM or in another diagram. And I would respond and say, that is precisely the problem. Because what I want is I want the same diagram. It doesn't matter. It's not that this diagram is a better format. It's more that it is a single format and it has all the information we're asking for. It's not that it's a better diagram, it's just a standard approach. And actually, if someone has ideas for a better diagram, I'm happy to take it on. But I want to just, this diagram does it. It meets the requirement, and I just need each team to complete this version of the diagram. If someone comes up with a better way of presenting this info, we can always change the standard diagram later. But at the moment, I've only got 1 or 2 offerings where we've captured the right information. So I'll just go through this diagram. So first of all, there is some text in the top left-hand corner. And actually, you'll notice the heading of adding an application to the My Workstyle network. That's the whole reason it was created, was network elements and what needs to be done in each network element for a particular offering. So let's have a look at the text, the red and black text in the top left-hand corner on the left side of the screen. So it starts by saying, for a new application, define the following. So the first line item is checkpoint firewall rules. And for the external DMZ checkpoint firewall, you need to configure the source and destination IP addresses and the ports. Then we have the external DMZ netscaler. And the things that need Skype are load balancing for the external edge servers, reverse proxy, which is the IP for the application, which maps external IPs to internal virtual IPs, SSL offloading to the reverse proxy, and routing. And then there's the linkage for Skype. There is a link, and that does location, routing, IM presence, P2P audio, P2P video, AV web conferencing. And then the internal checkpoint firewall rules, and that's just source and destination IP addresses and ports. And then we have the internal netscaler, which is used for load balancing, and that does load balancing for the internal edge services. Load balancing for OWA web services, and routing. So, if anyone, I can give this to a Skype engineer, and they will know what work needs to. Well, first of all, they'll understand now what are the devices in our network, and for each type of device, they'll understand what elements need to be configured, and to do detail from there. So that's the whole purpose of this diagram. Put that text in the top left-hand corner. We've got the one-page diagram. So it starts with the internet cloud at the top. Then we've got actually there's two lines. There's the green line, web services traffic between the client network resource stack, which is the SIP media traffic between the client network and the resource stack. And the red arrow goes both ways. I think the green line goes both ways as well. But it is two different types of traffic. So below the internet, we've got the CGN switches, and there's some text in there that explains. Actually, just before, just go up a bit. Sorry, I'm sorry, Daniel. I should have stopped there. Just stop at the top box, please, with the CGN switches. Just stop there. Okay, so this is authenticated by the link edge. So I'm reading the black writing. It's authenticated by the link edge servers, which then logs them into the My Workstyle link application. The internet user connects to the edge server for SIP traffic and DMZ netscaler. NES converts the URL into the internet routable IP address assigned to the DMZ netscaler, and then the traffic is load balanced to one of the edge servers. The edge routes the traffic internal front-end servers via internal edge internal interfaces, and the user logs into the link client. That tells us how the user comes in from the internet through to the link application and through the netscaler. And I've got a similar description top. Same information for and for SharePoint. So Stephen, remember many months ago when we were talking about implementing the network for SharePoint, I suggested that don't we have to publish 4 or 5 URLs, and the response was no, we only need one. The decision was made, oh yeah, actually we need to publish 4 or 5 URLs. So, you know, we need this sort of information for SharePoint to say, in this little box here about CGN switches, we need to say, these are the 5 URLs that are published, it's for these servers, and this is where login and authentication is done, and so on and so forth. You know, it's that sort of information we need. The idea, the people that know how it's been built, it's for all the other teams that have got to build this for the first time for new clients.
Yep.
Okay. So I think, so just scroll down, please. Just slowly scroll down to the red, so that the box is at the top of the page, please, Daniel. Actually, I could take control, couldn't I? Can I? Do I? Ah, yes, I do have control now. Okay, that's great. Fantastic. That's good. So if we just go, I've clicked on the down box. It's not, it's going down slowly, okay? It's a bit of a delayed reaction. Oops, it's happened. It might be, I'll just release control back to you. Just put that red box, that red shaded box, if you could just have it at the top of the screen now. Please, Daniel, thank you. All right. So the red shaded box is, there's a label in the top right hand corner. It's the Public Network and Internet Fabric Z. And that contains the external checkpoint firewall and the external DMZ NetScaler. It also contains the link edge server and the internal, actually the internal checkpoint firewall straddles the red shaded area and another area below. But there is another fabric, which is the yellow box, which is the private network. And that is where the client network attaches into some Cisco 3850 switches. Just go down further again. Can please have the so that the blue shaded region is now showing in the picture, please. Just a bit more. That's perfect. Just stop it there, Daniel. Just stop it there. It's gone further. We want to see the yellow and the blue on the same page. Okay, so the yellow area is the private network that the client network comes in. The shaded area is actually the resource stack fabric C. So the client network can come in either through those Cisco 3850 switches in the yellow shaded area, and they can connect into the blue area, the blue fabric, onto the internal NetScaler and into the application servers in the resource stack. Alternatively, traffic can go via the red line. There's a red line on the far left that goes up through the red area and out through the public internet. So that client network that's in the yellow shaded box, that also can connect through the external internet, which is that cloud at the very top of the page, and come through the external checkpoint firewall and the external NetScaler, and then come in through that path into the resource stack in Piermont in the blue shaded area there. So that's the sort of diagram we need for Exchange that shows email traffic to and from the internet, how it would traverse. Although I think I have a sneaking suspicion that we never implemented an internet access for Exchange, and that it's good that we're showing this diagram, because when we have, so Victor and Chin Xiang, when we have a link to Macquarie Park, that will count as the client network. So instead of the yellow section reading client network, that cloud, in the case of Exchange, will read, will be labelled Macquarie Park, external gateway, and that link, that network link, will come in through the 3850 switches and into the Exchange server in the resource stack. And that traffic will come in through the iron ports, which are not shown on this diagram. And actually, Daniel, do you have the VDS diagram handy? Of this VDS version of this diagram? Aha. It'll be, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's the network diagram. It's a different thing. That's the product flow for the implementation. So there's no need to open that. Just trying to think. I've got another diagram. I'll email it all to you now, actually. Just bear with me a little minute. All right. So I'll just email it to you now. Let's see if I can get... So, Chiang, how does your name appear?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it appear in... actually, I've got it. It's okay, I've got it here. In fact, I've got it... Daniel sent me it.
You can be my screen as well. No need, Ching, sir. Go on mute. Sharing switch voice.
I've got it here. That's fine. Thank
you. Ching, can you go on mute, please? Yeah. Thanks, Ching.
Okay.
Oh, fine.
All right. So I've just sent you all an email, which is a one-page network diagram for virtual desktop, and you'll see there that I've included the iron port email gateway, but I've got no. It's in the yellow banded section. So Karthik had to draw his one. He had to draw his network diagram a particular way, and but I could draw my diagram a different way, which is a bit easier. It's a bit. See, it includes the iron port gateway, and it shows the yellow band going straight across the blue band. So
open it your diagram.
That's it. That's the one. So just scroll down to the yellow band, please, Daniel.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. So the way the Skype traffic worked it actually didn't go through the yellow band, whereas for virtual desktop it did, and in blue writing the iImport email gateway, which is actually it's connected to the private network fabric, and I have a feeling actually that iImport email gateway might sit partly on the yellow and partly in the red. So I think there are connections from the red fabric and from the yellow fabric into that gateway. But I'll take your guidance on that, Victor and Shinsing, as to how you draw that.
So you want me to draw this diagram and let you to review, or you want to review among together?
Yeah, I think draw the diagram for the email, but I think actually I don't think, maybe Stephen, do you know, I don't think there's any external email traffic, is there?
Well, I think we had a similar conversation with Russ years ago, and I think he said there is an external URL to Outlook Web Access.
Right.
So I think there was, I believe it was just this morning that because it was one of the test cases that we wanted clarification on from Russell. So we do have an internal URL for tenant to use, and then there is that idea of an external one that someone outside the tenant can get to.
Yeah, right. But I don't think does it go? And so the million-dollar question is, does that URL go to the iImport gateway?
Actually, no.
I don't know.
It's not using the iImport gateway for access the web access. Basically, web access is through the Netscaler, the load balance.
Yeah, okay.
iImport is really based on the SMTP.
That's what I thought.
Only.
Yeah, okay. So there'll be a line from the iImport through the 3850 switch to the Macquarie Park Innovation Centre, and where there'll be an SMTP gateway. I think that's how. Anyway, that's what we need to make clear on this diagram, please, Victor.
Okay, I try to restructure the diagram and send to you all to view, so you can basically understand how the exchange is working. I will follow based on the LTM and
perfect.
PTM diagram one. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. So, the important principle is if there are different types of traffic, use a different color line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can do that, no problem.
Is it going in the right direction? But I think most traffic is usually goes both ways. But for example, if you've got SMTP traffic going to Macquarie Park, use a different color line. The external webmail.
Okay, no problem.
All right, fantastic. That's good. And the only other thing I wanted to highlight is that if you look at the box at the top of the screen, it says external DMZ Netscaler ×2. You can ignore the ×2. We just put it in there because we have two devices for redundancy. But you'll notice the red writing, SSL offloading, reverse proxy, login and authentication and routing. So should be precisely the same as the text, the summary block that appears in the top left-hand corner of the page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense actually. We need
Remember the first thing
Netscaler
yeah,
actually.
Yeah. Good. So the idea is you can look at that box. These are the functions we need to configure for virtual desktop in the DMZ Netscaler. And these are the functions, they're different functions that we need to configure in the load balancing netscaler that appears in the resource stack in Fabric C, which is in the blue section. All right, that's pretty much it. That was all I wanted to go through today. So there's a couple of things that we need to progress with. First of all, so Victor and Qinxiang, maybe have a discussion amongst yourselves about which elements, who does what. So we need to finish in particular, we need to tidy up the product flow for exchange and finish that. And we need to also make sure that in that product flow, we have identified all the things that we can automate with agility. Now, at the moment, all we've got is standing up VM servers and also installing the basic exchange software. But the rest of the boxes are to do with configuration, and it's very important that we all comply with the good practices that Stephen has created. We do this development in a particular way, and if we follow what Stephen has followed, then we will come up with a very full function installation that is done in a standard way. So, for example, Stephen has set up some variables so that before you fire off the blueprint to go and do the automation, you can define variables that are picked up by various elements of the blueprints as they progress through their various stages of install. And we want to do that for every one of the offerings. So that's just one example. I don't know enough about what Stephen's done to give you an exhaustive list, but that's the reason why we want to make sure that people comply with the approach that Stephen has used for SharePoint. So,
Chris, I've put together a document that outlines, I guess, those standards and what we want everyone to align with. I just want to check with the guys on the call. Do they have access to the SharePoint site? Because that's where I could probably put that document up and then shoot them off a link. Do you have access to the My Workstyle SharePoint site, you know? You might be on mute, Victor.
I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat what is your request?
We've got some documents that we could share with you to give you some guidance on how to sort of create the scripts that will automate the Exchange install and configuration. We want to put those documents up on a SharePoint site. Do you have access to the My Workstyle SharePoint site? Do you know?
I'm about to give it to you now. Let me.
Yeah, that's probably easiest. An email invite, a URL to the SharePoint site that contains all the Workstyles documentation. I'll send you also another link to show you, to point to the document that talks about the guidelines.
This is architecture design folder in the MWS Australia SharePoint site. You mean that?
Yeah, that one there. So, yep.
Okay, just bear with me a second. So, actually, while I'm logging in here, Victor, do you have any thoughts on how you and Qinxiang can work on? We've got to finish the product. I think, actually, Daniel, I think that the deliverable descriptions and acceptance criteria, that seems to be complete now, doesn't it?
Yes, Chris. A few things needs to be done once
okay.
Only this part.
All right.
Rest everything is incomplete. Are you able to see that yellow one?
Oh, sorry, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fantastic. So most things are complete. So the deliverables and acceptance criteria are complete. We need to finish that product flow diagram and
Page network diagram.
and the one-page network diagram. So I think perhaps yeah, Victor, do you have any thoughts now on so the three things need to be done. Actually, we need to finish the product flow diagram, which is a little piece of work. Network diagram, which is a slightly bigger piece of work. There's probably only a few hours of work. And then we need to work with Stephen on picking up and completing the agility automation. And actually, Stephen, do you know the completion status of that agility automation work?
For Exchange or?
Yeah, for Exchange.
Chatting to Russell, he said, I think the install process was scripted, at least. I'm not sure whether it's been tied into agility yet, but the configuration part of the process was still document-based.
Right.
So there you go. So the first two grey boxes at the top left. So we've got the agility. We do the application install through agility, but then the configuration is that yellow box. That's the bit, or the key bit that we need to or would like to do next.
So I think Stephen, all we need, Victor, is for you to nominate which Yang would be working on which components. I suspect that if 100% available, Victor, it might be easiest if I'm in two minds about having two people work on it or just have the focus of one person working on all of them, because you don't lose focus and it might be done quicker. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Victor? How would you like to do this work?
Actually, I can take these three to ownership, no problem. But just in case I need somebody to follow up, maybe I'll pass to Chin Xiang, so he can I can translate and knowledge to sharing to him in case I'm not around. So that's the best way.
So maybe are you saying that you would do the lead and then you would share with
Yes,
Chin
exactly.
Xiang?
Because some of the architecture and the design, I need to get Russell's advice because some of their procedures will be slightly different from the others.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. All right. So I think we use Victor as the lead. Let me just hang on, reply to this to get you access. It's 851679 send.
The other option, Victor, is you could split the configure would obviously be a bigger piece of work, but the server-side testing may be something smaller. So that might be one way that you could break it up as well. But something to think about.
Okay, I will think about it first because some flow and the workflow.
The other thing we could do. Yeah, the other thing we can do, Victor, is I can show you what the side testing at least, because it'll be similar for all the products, and I could also show you what an example of scripted configuration looks like, and that might also help you decide what's the best way to break it up.
Okay.
We can set up a session whenever you're free, and I can sort of log into Agility and walk you through what those processes look like for other products.
Okay, I find for it, no problem.
Okay, I've just responded. Hopefully it'll get it in time this time. All right, so, right, I think basically Daniel will work with you, Victor, to finish the product flow diagram and the network diagram, and Stephen would work with you to proceed with that agility automation. Is that okay? And then you can bring in Chin Xiang as required to either share knowledge or to do elements of the work. I think that will. Is that okay?
Yeah, Chris, we can go with that, Chris. So if in case Victor is not available, we can reach out or Ching Chang to get an update from him.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
All righty. So that's all good. Now, Stephen, is there anything else you need to automation work?
No, I guess just to reiterate, I think while ideally we'd like to have one button click and everything gets installed and configured and it's all ready to go, it's either not going to be possible or not, so with the value. So part of the discussion will be trying to find the right spot to focus some effort on and automate that. So we can have a chat along the way and see where we think we can get some value out of automation.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
I mean, that's I'll just set up a session and walk them through what we've done so far.
No, that sounds good. Sounds good. Fantastic. Do you know how many man hours are required to finish that automation? Stephen?
No, I think a combination between Victor and myself where we exchange expertise, and I'll bring some experience in how we do it in agility, and I think after that chat we could probably put some sort of estimate together.
Okay. All right. Just now sending you an invitation, Victor and Chin Xiang. Welcome to the MWS Australia. So, yeah, if you have any difficulties, accessing this share site. Okay. Chris Brando. All right. Fantastic. So that is done. You should have access now to the share site. Good. Okay. So basically, in terms of review meetings, Steve, this will be this Wednesday slot. We'll have as a regular Tuesday catch-up with me and you to look at automation across the program. And Daniel, you and I have a regular meeting slot as well to review status.
Yes.
And so I think mission accomplished. So let's just go around the houses. So first, starting with Victor and Chin Xiang, do you have any questions on what we've covered? Covered a lot of ground today, I suppose. But it's been good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, for me.
Okay, great. Stephen, just when we meet, when you and I meet next, which will probably be same time next week, and I need to Catchup, actually, we'll do that. If you could please just remind me that we need to talk about, look at the product flow diagram and the deliverables acceptance criteria format, and just agree on what, talk about what format we're going to move as a standard across all the projects. We'll come to a landing on that, and I'd like your feedback on that. That was the only other thing. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, Steve, today?
No. Other than I'll be in touch with Victor, and we'll probably start when he's ready to start walking him through the automation that we've done so far, and try and come up with a picture how.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, it would be great if we could come up with a schedule as well, and some forecast man hours. This year, the funding model is quite different to last year, and so last year we had single WBS code, which is not something I thought I would in a career, but this year we'll be applying for budget. I think this work will be funded more from the US rather than internal sources from Australia. And anyway, so we need to be a bit more rigorous about estimating what work is required and putting a budget forecast in, that sort of thing. So that was the only thing. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Stephen. Thanks once again. You're always very valuable input. And Daniel Anthony, was there anything else you wanted to cover?
Nothing from my end, Chris. Thank you. I'm done.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So fantastic. No, that's a good job. Thank you, Daniel, once again. So I think Stephen, Victor, and Chin Chiang, pleasure meeting you all. And I might. You can. I think Daniel, you and I have a further review on some other project work that you're doing. So why don't you and I stay on the line? And otherwise, if everyone else could drop, that would be greatly appreciated. And I look forward to talking some more. Team.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.